Section 3, Video 4. This trinomial has two variables, which makes it look much more interesting. However, the good news is it is not more difficult. Let's ignore the y's for a second and just look at it as if it said x squared minus 9x plus 8. We're looking for two numbers that have a product of 8 and a sum of negative 9. Well, the factors of 8 that add up to 9 are 8 and 1. You have to add up to negative 9, so you're going to have to make them both negative. Now again, negative 8 times negative 1 is still positive 8. So I write my x term first. I'll write my negative 8 and negative 1. And now because these y's are actually in our problem, we put them with the second term. And that's all we add to the problem. So we can ignore them. Just remember that we put them back in. And that would be considered finished. A couple more examples of this. We have a trinomial with two variables again. Same scenario, approach it as if it was just a squared minus 7a plus 10. So we're looking for two numbers that have a product of 10 and a sum of negative 7. That would give us negative 5 and a negative 2. So we factor this. A would go first. We would put our negative 5 in and our negative 2 in, but there are b's present here, so we have to represent them in the second term, and that would be factored. Now I'm going to go out of order and go down to this next one here and look at this and say, well, it's a trinomial again, but always see if there's anything in common to make it simpler, and they are all divisible by 3. So in doing so, if I take a 3 away, I have a squared minus 8ab minus 20b squared. So again, now I have something a little bit simpler to look at. So I'm going to end up with a factored trinomial with a 3 out front. Now we know that a goes first, b will be in the last one. That's what's been happening when we have that second letter there. But again, to review, we have to find out what numbers give a product of negative 60, notice that's negative here, and have a sum of negative, I'm sorry, not negative 60, we took that away. Now we're looking at this now. A sum of negative 20, or product of negative 20, excuse me, and a sum of negative 8. So I'm using these two terms. And those two numbers would be 2 and 10. Now how do I know that? Because to multiply 2 and 10 and get negative 20, one of them has to be negative. So now we're not looking for actually a sum of negative 8. We're actually looking for a difference of negative 8. But they do truly add together to give you negative 8. But one of them has to be negative. If one of them is not negative, you're not going to get negative 20 as an answer when you multiply. So which one should be negative? Well, you get negative 8 as an answer, so the 10 is bigger, so that should be negative. So you're going to get a positive 2 and a negative 10. And this is considered factored. And to finish this one, I'm going to do one question up here, and I'm going to do this in a way that's considered, as mentioned, trial and error. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. Nothing can be factored out. There's only one letter, which is nice, but how do we factor it? Well, there's two ways to do this, factoring by grouping and trial and error. And I'm going to do this one by trial and error because it's not too bad, but the majority of the time I'll do factoring by grouping. So the last term here, the last piece in each one, needs to have factors of 12. Okay, so I have 12 times 1, 6 times 2, 4 times 3. The first one has to multiply together to give you this. So you know there's a k there, but now you need factors of 7, and that's just 7 and 1. Okay, so let's put a 1 there. Now, based on your sheet before where it gave you the rules of what signs there were in trinomials, and it gives you what the answers will be in the binomial form, well, you have a plus plus, which means you'll have a plus plus in your parentheses. Now, which one of these do we need? Well, because when you FOIL, you have to end up with this. We have a little bit of work to do. So if I try 12 and 1, and I FOIL, if I do outside and inside, I get these two together give us 7K. These two together give us 12K. And together you have 19K. That doesn't work. All right, so now let's look at another one. 6 and 2. So if I go 6 and 2, the outside gives us 14K, the inside gives us 6K, and that gives us 20K. So that works. And that's guessing and checking. But you got to check your answer. And this ends Section 3, Video 4.